All right. Welcome to the Forge Coffee Break. This is the 50th episode of the Coffee Break. It's a major milestone. Thank you for joining today. And thank you for joining all those coffee breaks. And as usual, this is a very open space for any questions or topics that you are working with, any projects that you are working with. And let me start with you. If you have any questions or topics that you want to bring up, yeah, please open your microphone, open your camera. It'd be very nice to see you. Hi, Juan Galejo from Spain. Hello, Edgar. Hi. Any interesting projects and ideas?
Yeah, I have some questions, Augusto.
Yeah, Edgar. Yeah, go ahead.
I'll share you my video, or my video is running, I think, even.
Yeah, no, it is. It's not. Yeah.
It's not. Stop.
It's a weird icon.
No, here, now it is running. There you go. For people on the call, can you see my screen or no? No, I don't think so.
Yes. Yeah, it's but sharing something.
This is the wrong screen, probably.
Okay. It's a Word document.
Yeah, it was a book document. All right, then it's the right screen. Yes, that was correct. Zoom always does it better than I think Teams does. Anyhow, what we're trying to do, it was brought up in the other call 2 or 4 weeks ago with Jim as well, that we're trying to move from US to EU, right? We are looking to copy about 500 different folders from organized in different, let's say, year organizations from US to EU. Now, we can create a template in US, and we can reuse that template to start another project in US. That works perfect. But what is not possible yet is to take that template that's on the US server from the Forge or the ACC UI in my case, and find that on the EU server. So luckily there's a Forge export API, so you can get the naming convention, you can look it up in the documentation. The only thing that is missing, I'd say, is an import equivalent. So in the documentation, it only has an export node. It doesn't have an import node, which is a massive headache for me, moving 500 folders from one to the other. So that's my main question, is like, can we expect an import node that allows you to copy all the project information from one into another project? So I use Postman, that's what you're seeing here. So basically, get the naming convention, get the users, it all works. What doesn't work is the post, right? So what you see here is add, obviously that's with a post, post command on Postman. So I'd like some inputs there.
So you are saying that you wanna write in the naming conventions piece, right?
Yeah. Okay. So we started off in the US, and the client has said, hey, you cannot have stuff on the US, you need to be in EU. Like I said, we have 500 folders, and to set that up again for all the folders is a bit crazy. Now, like I said, there is for the naming convention, there is a copy, but for the templating bit, there isn't a copy available.
Yeah, so I'm looking to double check that here.
Yeah, I also don't. Probably my documents. Admin. So let me do this and share again. Then again, this screen. So here in the Forge, you only have, like, say, the get. See, it doesn't allow you to post.
Yeah, no, you're not sharing, right?
Oh, hang on, let me reshare. So now you should be able to see it, yes?
Yes.
So see, this is get naming. And if you go, for instance, under the account admin and you want to have the users, you can say get users, post users. And I'm looking for an equivalent here because it makes life much easier.
So usually when it, so not usually, right? When it's not documented here, it's because the endpoint is not exposed, right?
Exactly.
So what we can do is to make that request for you. And I'm trying to remember why that was not available, but probably there is some reason there. So yeah, we can definitely check. But if it's not there, then no, it's not exposed at this point.
I get that. I like I said, the functionality probably is there, but not exposed. But if there's a way to get that exposed in the near future, that will be super duper.
And when you say near future, what is the timeline that you are looking for?
Preferably today, but yeah, I need to talk to the client. Also, there's a CSM with Autodesk that is also pushing hard. I've not mentioned this to her because we're just only today looking into this, but I'll ask her the same question just to be upfront with that.
Yeah. So let us check with the team if that endpoint is available or not, or when. But I would say it will probably take some time to review and expose it, right?
Would it be possible as a workaround for me to send the JSON with all the naming standards to you guys, and you guys do it on the inside?
Yeah. So that was my next step, right? So maybe we can find a workaround for you that will be like a one-off way to do it, right? Because you said you have hundreds and hundreds of folders, right? So how can we help you there? So yeah, let me ask them and see if there's anything that we can do.
Okay, let's take that offline, but perfect.
Yeah. And you have my email, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So yeah,
I'll drop you a quick reminder then, if that's your question.
No, yeah, I mean, just I probably have yours as well, but I'll try to dig on that.
Okay, perfect. I'll wait for you.
Cool. Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah, it's usually migrating lots and lots of files. It's a common request, and I didn't realize the naming convention. And I think that's not on the folder, right? The naming convention is on the project. And
you can apply it top down or on individual folders if you want a real nightmare, but we applied it at the top level. So, but still it needs to percolate down.
Yeah. Is that one per project, one naming convention per project or per account?
One per project. Yeah.
Okay. Well, whether it's defined at the account level and you apply per project.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
And you would normally apply it through the ACC webpage, right? Bim360 webpage.
So are you asking if I configure the naming convention through the normal UI? Then the answer is yes.
Yes. Okay, got it.
Of course, yeah. So I only noticed this today because my colleague got back from holiday that there is a get naming convention or naming standard, it's actually called. And we're currently trying to get it from US to EU because of the reasons I mentioned before.
Yeah. Yeah, let's investigate that. Let's see if we can have some workaround for you.
Thanks.
Very interesting. Is this migration happening because the customer didn't specify that at the beginning and you have to migrate now?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So again, when we started on the ACC, it was only available in US.
Okay.
We looked at it and looked at also the competition, and we felt no, we need to go with ACC. Client said yes, that's perfect, and yes, they broke open the contract and say everything needs to be on EU. So what Jim mentioned last week or 2 weeks ago is also very relevant for this client. They're allowing processing outside of EU, but they are getting also very stringent on that. So there might be a real push for that as well. But that, like I said, I'll funnel that more formally through the CSM because that's her job in this case.
Yep. Great. Yeah. Thank you. Interesting discussion. All right. So let me move if there's any other topics or questions. There is something interesting going on from our side, and let me share here quickly. I'm not sure if you saw this blog post. Are you anyone here using DWGs in the viewer, translating DWGs for viewing? Interesting. Everyone is using 3D, not 2D.
I'm not using the DWG now.
Okay. Oh, okay. So, but very briefly then, so DWG is working to simplify how many properties they extract to make it faster and easier to view models. So if you see anyone using DWG files in the viewer, that may affect because now you have some of the properties will not be there. And those properties are mostly irrelevant for most people. That was what we expect. But if you have any different perspective here, so just mention to us.
So is this just for 2D DWGs or is this for 3D as well?
2D DWGs.
Okay.
Yeah. So in most of those cases, you have a lot of things that no one really needs. So that's why we're trying to optimize that.
And there's probably a bigger story behind this. This is Jim Quancy. You know, for 2D representations with Forge, we've been using these F2D files. And the question or the challenge is, can we actually replace that just with PDFs? Because in the end, what a lot of customers want is PDFs. So can we have all or most of the capabilities of today's F2Ds only with PDFs as the native file? Would simplify things for a lot of people.
And it will be more industry standard, right? Instead of something that is just us.
Yeah. And, you know, everybody's going through their, conversions back and forth with PDFs and all that messiness. And if we can avoid that whole thing, it would be good for, and people who may be familiar with Autodesk Build, a lot of the in the field mobile capabilities are all based off PDFs. So it would, it would also simplify, a lot of data flows between various services. But we also don't want to give stuff up that people need. There is some intelligence and capabilities in F2D that, can we replicate in a PDF or not? And how important is it? Which is why we need feedback.
Yeah, thank you, Jim. And welcome back from Denver.
Yeah.
Was the last one. Yeah. Almost done with data days, right?
Well, no, about halfway.
I still have one tomorrow, and that's it.
And
3 quarters.
Tokyo.
Oh yeah, no. I mean Americas.
Singapore and Sydney and Pune and maybe Seoul.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
Cool. So Data Days is coming to San Francisco tomorrow. Yesterday was Denver, and tomorrow is San Francisco. So if you are somewhere in the Bay Area, that's your chance. And let me move to Pedro Nadal. You said you were getting started with Forge and you want to collect data.
Yes. Hi.
Yeah,
hello,
go ahead.
Hi, Augusto.
Hi.
Yes, I'm new to Forge development, and I would like to ask you a question regarding the collecting data from Revit models stored in ACC. Because right now we are collecting data in local from the Revit models with Dynamo and plugins and all the stuff, but we want to do it to the cloud. But I know that with model derivative, we can extract metadata on the model properties, on the elements of the model. But we would like also to access to the information like the project information, the work specs, the links, and all the warnings and all the stuff. And I don't know if I could access directly with these model properties API or the data management, the model derivative, or should I go through design automation, like creating a like an extractor of data plugin and go through that way with design automation and get an output, a file like I don't know, a JSON file with all collected data, and then manage this file. Thank you.
So when you're trying to extract that information, you're looking at for product management. What is the idea with that? What are you trying to achieve?
It's for the data quality, just to know that all the workshops are correctly named, or all the links are correctly located, and all the
design check.
Yes, for this design check should be also, but we are like focusing right now on the data and the standards that we are using, how we are using the Revit models and all the stuff. Not just focusing on the parameters of a wall, for example.
Okay. And you want to generate a report after that? What is the end result?
Yes, then we have this data and we compare it with our standards and make a report or Power BI or something like that. Cool. The thing is that, yes, we need to just first collect all the data that we can right now gather on local, just because we have some plugins that are like opening Revit files one after others, so collecting that and then processing the data. But we want to do it in the cloud right now. So Pedro, I don't know. Yes,
I'm just enthused. You're asking the exact right question. Can I get at the data I need with model derivative, which would be cheap and easy if you're dragging it out of a hub like Bim360, or do you have to go to design automation? We have several dozen partners. A lot of them start using model derivative and they get as far as they can get with the data model derivative provides. But it really gets down to the data you need and whether you're going to hit a wall there and need to use design automation to get at additional data and what I tend to call runtime data that may not be available through model derivative. But again, it gets back to, we've got to know exactly what data you're talking about. Like, here's the list of the data we need. Yeah.
And you did mention Revit Warnings, right? So that's a very, as Jim said, runtime kind of data, right? Because you need to recalculate the model to get the warnings from Revit. So that's definitely something that you need design automation, but most of the rest is more derivative. And one easy way to separate the two is thinking, is the data that you want part of any of the visible elements, right? So if there is a wall in the model and that data is a property of that wall, is very much likely available as in model derivative. Right? Otherwise, you have to go to design automation.
Design automation. Okay.
And we do have a sample that is called Bim360 Reports that we have a few versions of that sample, but essentially what you can do here is to, when I'm signing, so you can see a model from Bim360 and see all the properties you have available, right? So if what you want is available here on this sample, then you can do with model derivative. If it's not available here, because the sample is getting everything for you, then you need to use design automation.
Okay. And what about the new APIs like the data exchange and model properties?
That's the same data in a way, right? So it's the same kind of property. It's just that data exchange allows you to share that data in different ways, right? But it's the same foundational data in the end.
It's built on top of the model derivative API models.
Yes, so it's the same metadata, but it allows you to share subsets of that model or of that data. But if you're looking for everything in the model derivative gives you everything, right? That will just filter out what you don't want to share at some point.
Okay.
The other beauty of data exchange is as the model changes, there are small updates being made of that database in the cloud, so you're not having to process the whole model every time, which can take a lot of time, or depending on the environment you have, might or might not cost money. Yeah. But as Augusto said, most of the information in model properties is in data exchange. Not all, but it's most. And this quickly gets down to exactly what data do you need. And, based on that, it'll be straightforward to go, yes, model derivative, or no, you're going to need to use design automation. We've seen a number of people, more than a few, build model checkers that, again, they start with model derivative, and then at some point they kind of hit the wall on, additional checks they want to do, where they end up using design automation.
Mhm.
Do you already have a Revit plugin that does these kind of checks?
Yes, we have like this Revit Extractor. We are retrieving all the data that they are interested in each project, and then we are processing through other desktop applications and reporting in Power BI reports.
And
So,
yeah.
and then another question is about which one is cheaper, because I know design automation and model derivative cost tokens. So each time I want to like extract the properties from a model through the model derivative, I have to pay tokens for that, or it's like.
Yeah, the question there is where are your models, right? So if the models are in Bim360, you already have the metadata. You don't have to pay extra for it. So where are the models?
Yes. Yeah, they are in Bim360 and
Okay. So you don't pay anything extra to extract with model derivative. Now, if you want to use design automation, then you have to trigger a process for it, right? So in design automation, you have to trigger the process and extract the properties. And I was just opening this sample here that shows exactly that. So this is a sample that gets all of the properties from model derivative for free, as it is part of Bim360, and it runs design automation to extract additional properties that are not available on model derivative. So in this case, I'm getting the wall layers to extract that as well. So it's just extracting additional information using design automation.
Okay, I will check that.
Yeah, so again, as what Gusto said, if you're using any Autodesk hub, so it could be Bim360, Autodesk Construction Cloud, Autodesk Docs, the model derivative is automatically happening in the background. So there's nothing to pay for. You just grab it and you're off and away. Design automation, nominally it's like $6 a compute hour. And how long is it going to take to run? Hey, if you have a current Revit plugin, you could actually time it and see how long it takes to run to extract the data. It won't be the same running on design automation, but it'll be, give or take a bit, it'll be in the same ballpark in terms of timing.
Okay, thank you very much for your help.
Yeah, and maybe as another aside, Bim360 Autodesk Construction Cloud has some basic model checking built in that also uses design automation. It was released, I don't know, a month or two back. And I think they charge, I may have this wrong, I think it's 1 token per check. And tokens cost $3. So, that's how we're dealing with the fact that running a check uses significant compute power, and somebody's got to pay for that compute power. Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, because the cost is we need to look at the cost, because we are dealing with thousand models, so we need to process each model, and we are if we are doing it through model derivative, and we need to pay for each model that we are checking. But if you say that if these models are in ACC and we already pay for that, and we don't have to pay extra cost for that, I think we will try to go through model derivative and then try to find another strategy to extract only the data that we cannot access through model derivative, through design automation, to reduce the processing time on, because then on this one design automation we have to pay for that. So
yeah. So Pedro, when you run into data that you want access to that's not in model derivative, let us know exactly what that data is. Because depending on what it is, maybe it's a discussion we have with our model derivative team, but maybe it's a discussion we have with our forged data team, kind of forward looking. So that in the future, you could potentially do what you want to do without having to use design automation.
Okay, because the strategy of model derivative is, or the common file of the SDF, right? Because you are transforming all the formats into just one format to get all the properties of these different formats in just one way, right? Because if we have to do it for Revit, for IFC, for all the stuff, you need to think about some different strategies, and with one just format for each one, you can do it, retrieving data to all of these formats in just one way.
So probably more than you want to know is but what's the logic to some of this? With model derivative, we have to take that binary file, whether that's a Revit file or an IFC file or whatever, and load it in a computer, compute on it, crank out an SVF2 file. That happens for us on AWS servers. It costs real money to run those things. And when it's, you get gigabyte, 2 gigabyte, 3 gigabyte, 4 gigabyte models, it takes real time and real cost. So, longer term, the idea of having those models in a proper database. So when you want to check data, you run a query on a database, not process a gigabyte binary file. And that's where we're going long term with forged data, but that's not going to help you this year. That's kind of a next year kind of thing. But at that point, when data changes, it's a small bit of data. It's data, I'm going to say in a field, but we're talking graph databases, and it's really kind of data in a node kind of thing changing. And then all of a sudden, this kind of processing repeatedly, you may want to check the same model every week, becomes really cheap and quick. But that's not this year. Where we're headed.
I got a question for you, Augusto.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt there. So going down the design automation path, and the example you've got of extracting the wall material layers, it's metadata that doesn't exist in the model derivative service. That current example, it only operates on one Revit file at a time. And I'm wondering if we were to modify that example so it took an array of URNs, so it took like a folder or a project full of URNs, so like 1,000 URNs, and it sent it to a single job, single work item, and it sequentially processed one file after the other. Would it be cheaper on design automation to run that sequentially, and obviously maybe a little bit slower, than to do it in parallel?
I think we asked that before, right? With the design automation team, and the risk of running one work item is that if it fails a lot of them at a time, right? Because you're just getting the results in the end, and there is no difference in cost, because when you load in design automation, you have to load the model, process, and unload the model, right? After that point, you're not paying anymore. So it's better to run in parallel than to run in sequence with the same design automation work item. The other piece is that if you're using the same Revit instance to run all those modules, there is all the memory corruption that can happen over time, because you're just reallocating memory all the time. So it's riskier, and it doesn't save you anything in money, right? So it still pays the same way.
Well, you can download parallel while handling it in Revit.
Yeah, now you can, right? With Open Network.
Exactly.
But the challenge there is that you're using the same instance to run multiple modules, and that same instance over time will get memory fragmentation, and that will eventually fail, right? So it's better to have one instance for each module. So yeah.
And the startup time, the engine, the engine spinning up.
Well, whoever is calling the API is not paying for that, And we provide a specific number of instances, right? So we are not creating new instances for you, for just one individual. We're creating the one that is a demand for it. So whoever is calling the APIs is not paying extra for it.
So no, that's good. It means Autodesk is encouraging to use parallel rather.
Yeah. And that's how AutoCAD Web does as well, right? They create one instance for each work they have to do. And just because we are running out of time and lots of interesting questions and discussions, there was 2 questions on the chat window. One was about sprites, and there is a blog post here as explaining some of that. And it's doing some spinning lines. Well, it's not this exact same one, but it helps you understand the coordinate system that we're asking for. And there was another question about BIM walkthrough, when you can move between rooms. Well, it's not the exact same one, but it helps understand how to move the camera around the module. So after I finish, we finish here, I'm going to post that recording so you can get the links. And if you have any additional questions, as usual, you can always get some time with us using if you go to all events, and it's a bit slow today, and you can have to the Dr. Scene or go straight to calendly.com, Autodesk Forge. And you can get some time with anyone on the team to ask your specific questions. So just book a time and you can get the support that you need. With that, let me stop sharing here and share again. Oh, but okay, sorry. I think my machine is warming up after my vacation. All right, share. So the next coffee break, again, same link, same time, July 13. And thank you for joining today, and see you in 2 weeks. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye. See you. Very much.